Hi guys, this is Vineet Pandey. So, you know why I introduce myself in every video? This is called the basics courtesy when you actually talk to someone. So there are so many students, they have subscribed, but a lot of students are also there. They are watching this video for the first time. So I must introduce myself. My dear friends, as recently, I have again qualified my 9th net, this time 9 times net. You must be wondering this thing that what kind of things he actually studies. I do not have a CBSE school background. I don't come from a city life. I never had top university teachers or professors in my life. I come from a very small town of Rajasthan. I come from Hindi medium college. In fact, my MA English was also in Hindi medium. People used to teach us in Hindi. So, a lot of students have this kind of mindset that what he actually studies. Now, the last shift 1 and shift 2, they were shocking exams for everyone. You know why? Because everybody said paper is easy, it's all British history. So when they say it is British history and they say it's easy for them who have actually studied it, who know what to read, what to study in British history. So if it looks easy, it's for those who actually study. So many students were asking me that, sir, paper was very easy, but then what should we read? Not each and everyone can come to the classes. Not each and everyone can take the coachings. So what should we read? What should we study? And moreover, if you click it on YouTube, hundreds of people will tell you what to do. If you ask everyone how to qualify UPSC, everybody will say, do that. But the one who will ultimately guide you is the one who has done that. Arjun had one guidance, Krishna. So let's see if I can become a Krishna for you. I will try. I'll pray the Lord that whatever I'm going to share, it will help you. So see this thing. How to prepare British history, strategy and books. Simple thing. If you want to prepare at home, if you want to prepare without taking coaching classes, you can prepare at home. I'm going to share my complete strategy and a request. Please subscribe. We do subscribe music videos, we do subscribe comedy videos, but what helps us in life is education. So if you don't want to miss any update, any lecture, any information, please subscribe. For the first thing, shift 1, shift 2 was complete British history, right? So when it was complete British history, a lot of people, they tried to attempt, merit was approx like this. It went high. 61-62% was the merit. So everybody thought we have done really well. But you know, when everybody is doing well, there are some people who have studied a lot of things which are not common for others. So let's see what if in June exam or in coming December 2023, because many of you are the students watching it for the first time, you are still in your post-graduation or you have done it. What if the same paper comes? What if the pure British history comes in exam? What are the things we're going to study? So first of all, divide your syllabus. You must understand where exactly you're going to land in exam. For proper syllabus, this is called basic syllabus area. This is the core syllabus area. Then this one is the high level area where people actually go to the exam with confidence and attempt it. So when I go for my exams, when I'm offline batch students, they go for it. When online batch, they go for it. We actually target this. You know why? So that I'm sure about this. Basic syllabus area. The biggest problem with small town students who are from normal university background, non-collegiate background, private college, private university background, your teachers do not teach those things. Really sorry to say, but this is a fact. Most of the students are not even sure about the basic syllabus, which is 60% of NET exam. If you have done basic syllabus properly, 60% chances are there that 60% syllabus can be covered. Then comes all the core syllabus, linguistic, culture studies, cyber literature, post-humanism, all these kind of things. And then comes the top level area, which we will be discussing in my coming videos. Please subscribe for that thing, you will get it. So let's go for the basic syllabus first. The basic syllabus, which is mostly sometimes taught in graduation, sometimes in your post-graduation. If you are from good university, it can be taught to you in graduation, It can be taught to you in post-graduation. That sometimes helps, sometimes not. So totally depends. If you have University of Delhi, JNU, Jamia, or BHU, Punjab University post-graduation, we can say that most of the things are known to you. But now, what exactly you must read? First of all, take the screenshot so that if you want to buy these books, this is my preparation strategy. I must clarify this thing. My strategy, and my strategy has given results. Not me, my teachers, my students, everybody is all net JRF. See this. British history, David Detchith. The biggest mistake students do is that they have just one history book. I have to clear it myself. I myself tell the students to take one history book, but they are online students or offline. So I know if they miss certain things, I'm going to teach that. But if you're not taking any coaching classes, if you're not taking any guidance, then my dear friends, first of all, David Detchith is very important for detailed analysis. You must understand the movements, the development of ages, the genre of poetry. For having analytical skills to answer assertion reason type questions in exam, you must have David Detchith. Legis Kazamia and Compton Rickett. These are two of my favorite books which give a lot of facts about everything. Coffee got introduced in London 1658. What were the last words when Walter Raleigh was killed? He was dying. He said, "This does not give me fear. Strike, man, strike." All of these things have been taught in online and offline classes. But if you want to prepare on your own, and Compton are giving you facts for objective question paper. Facts matter. For assertion reason type question paper, David Detchith. Now comes Andrew Sanders. Andrew Sanders will help you to understand the comparative development of literary ages of writers. Just ask yourself, if somebody questions you in assertion and reason. Assertion is that Edison was a far better author than Steele writing periodicals. Reason, and what if they give you a reason that Edison was more handsome, Edison was good in English? How will you actually understand whether you should go for the reason or not? Assertion, reason type questions. Assertion, Queen Elizabeth never married. Reason, she was in love with someone else, she was scared of marriage, she was scared of childbirth, or her teacher asked her to be an absolute queen, not to get married. So technically, for these things, David Detchith and Andrew Sanders. Andrew Sanders is more quality things. Delhi University teachers, JNU teachers actually recommend Andrew Sanders. Now, when I teach in my classes, I ask my students to take William J. Long. You know why? It's simple book, easy book. But then why I say just take one book? Because they already have paid for the classes. They are already trusting me. So if I ask them to buy these books, at least these are costly one. So you will be buying these books in 4,000 to 5,000. And then you will have to read each and everything. And then you will end up finding confusions. So if I am teaching in online classes, I just say just read one book, again, which is not necessary. Because I am going to provide you David Detchith kind of content, Compton Rickett kind of content, Andrew Sanders or Poplavsky. Poplavsky is my favorite. Poplavsky applies literary theory in British history. So when I read British history, I go for theoretical approach. Lit theory is applied everywhere. So first of all, if you want to take the screenshot, please take the screenshot. This is for the first time I'm sharing my secret books, my secret strategies. Some books are known to everyone. This is common. That one is common. The rest of the books are not that much common. People don't read that. And I can bet 90% people don't have Poplavsky. But it's okay. Because if you come from a small town background, even if you read it, you won't understand it in an easy way. Let's go for how to study. So you have purchased the book. Let's assume you have taken all these 4 or 5 books. But then what to read? How to study? Even the students who take my notes, they come and say, "Sir, how to study?" So see, you have purchased material, you have got the class, it's okay. How to study? So let's talk about this thing. The first thing, my dear friends, whatever you read, British history or anything, you're reading it, focus on British literary movement. The biggest mistake a fresher student does, a student who has no guidance does, is that he simply starts with authors. क्या आप भी गलती करते हो? पढ़ने बैठे, सीधा उठाया पहला राइटर, If you start directly with the authors, it's a big mistake. It's like you have bricks but no cement in between. तो अगर आप सीधे राइटर्स पढ़ना शुरू कर रहे हो तो इसका मतलब ईंट 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 तो आप उठा रहे हो, लेकिन जो सीमेंट कनेक्ट करता है वो गायब है, और जिसका खामियाजा एग्जाम में भुगतना पड़ेगा. व्हाट यू विल मिस इन एग्जाम इज दिस थिंग. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, लिटरेरी मूवमेंट. You should know the Gaelic movement. What was that? You should know Geoffrey of Monmouth launched a movement in Anglo-Saxons. You should know Lollard's movement. You should know Peasant Revolution, because they are the incidents which are connected to literature. So literary movements, historical movements, you must know that. Gaelic poetry kya hai? Jo Goliards hai, who are the Goliards? So first of all, do that. So read British history, focus on literary movements. You know how it all started. What was the moment that the language English got developed? What if they just ask you how Chaucer developed English language? And there are 4 long options, 4 for line options. You will have to choose one, or maybe you have to choose a right pair. Then literary schools. People think that the literary schools actually come in romantics. Stilthry School of Criticism, Flashley School of Criticism, Dandy School, some lake poets. No, the school system actually started for बहुत पहले. It's on a very ancient time. In fact, 90% people don't know the silver folk novels genre school. People have not even heard about the silver novelists, Silurist. Silurist तो किसी ने नहीं सुना होगा, I'm sure. So these kind of things are asked. So please focus on that. Genre. Every literary age has a genre. What if they give you 4 books and just say that out of these books, pick the one which is actually based on the genre of Old Testament, New Testament, the biblical reference genres, the books based on Arthurian legendary cycle genres. How many of you have heard about Arthurian legendary cycles? So you have to go for genres, and not only in Anglo-Saxon, you go for everyone. Modern age poetry, the genre dealing with war poetry, the genre dealing with late capitalism writings, the genre dealing with the artificiality and stream of consciousness. So make sure you focus on this. This is very important. Why? Because this time shift 1, shift 2, they were having chronological questions. 22 to 23 questions based on chronology. So if you just remember Shakespeare's birth date but nothing else, if you don't know that Battle of Spanish Armada took place in 1588, if you don't know the Bishop's Ban of 1599 resulted in the War of Theatres, if you have not heard about Popish plot, if you don't know about Gunpowder plot, if you have no idea about Godfrey's Autumn, if you don't know about the Licensing Act of Augustines, if you don't know about the publications of Areopagitica, there are hundreds of dates you must remember. Many of my deserving students, best students, they missed this exam. You know why? Because chronological orders were not that much prepared. They were prepared, but not to that level. So all the important works, all the important books, all the important authors, their birth date, their publication date, and all historical fights. Battle of Spanish Armada, 1588. When I teach in my class, I connect it with a Bollywood song, Thukra ke mera pyar, mera intikam dekhegi, and my students remember it. Few days back, the student was qualified from online class, Madiha, having a gap of 12 years, having 2 kids at home, and having more age about 38. She qualified, she took that example in the class. That's you make stories, so I understood. Yes, dates cannot be mugged up directly. You have to find connections. You have to find stories. Just ask yourself, how many of you know the birth date of Milton? How many of you know the publication of Paradise Lost? Pilgrim's Progress publication क्या है? Wasteland publication क्या है? Vanity Fair publication क्या है? These kind of questions can trouble you in exam. Suppose you know 3 dates, but one option date is not clear and you miss it. So make sure you do a separate reading of dates. Then comes historical reference. All historical references are connected. The Act of Uniformity, the Union of the Crown, then the acts related to Godfrey's Autumn, the Conventicle Acts. So जितने भी historical references हैं, you need to know that. How English language became the first language of Parliament. Linguistic development. 99% students reading British history read for the sake of story only. They forget that the language is also having a history. Do you know that? When I was teaching in University of Delhi, our senior teachers told us, Vineet, when you teach students, make sure you are also talking about the linguistic development. What if they ask you, what was the language of England before Chaucer? Just ask yourself. 2 marks gone, cut. What if they ask you that Latin and French was there? Okay, but in Latin and French, which was the first language? Then, was it a pure Latin language or old Germanic language? So, my dear friends, people should know the linguistic development. For example, the first development of language, how Chaucer selected East Midland language, converted it to English, then the great vowel shift, 16th century great vowel shift, Otto Jespersen. Then this goes for Edison, then it goes for William Sidney Porter, and then A.Z. Gardner. So, do you know the linguistic development? You should know that. ये focus करके जाना. This is English net. People are attempting 10 times. नहीं होता. Because they think we have read stories, we know the writers, we have read stories, but they don't know what they are missing. The basic reading, average reading is common for everyone, but the way topper studies, the way topper prepares, right? A warrior going to war carries a sword. A smart warrior going to war carries a sword, secret weapon. So you have to prepare like that. Linguistic developments, Otto Jespersen कल क्लास में भी डिस्कस किया था मैंने. Marxist, feminist, post-colonial and queer approaches. Another basic, what very important. I am calling it basic. Sometimes maybe if your teachers have not taught you like this, even if you are in wrong coaching classes and the teacher is not teaching like this. If your teacher taught William Shakespeare Tempest to you as a Tempest thing only, as a story. So I am 100% sure your teacher is also not JRF and not you. Tempest is not a basic story. Anybody can read that, but you are going to appear in top level exam. Post-colonial analysis of Tempest. Caliban says, my master, thou hast taught me a tongue. Now I know how to curse you. What's that? What's Caliban complex? What's Prospero complex? If you're not taught like that, you're missing it. If Othello has not been taught to you with the racial point of view, look more, the black, the savage, the tribal, look more if thou hast eyes to see, she has deceived her father and me thee. If you have not understood that racial African literary reference concept of Othello and nobody has taught like that, you're gonna miss it. Queer reference. Do you know the greatest warrior of Troy, which is a very important story for NET JRF exam? You should know the names. Trojan War's hero Achilles, the muscle man, in movie Brad Pitt played the role, was a gay. आपको पता है? Do you know that? Which character was gay in Shakespeare's Henry IV, homosexual? Do you know that? A famous character, Horner, pretends to be homosexual, gay, impotent, so that he can be in the company of women. And the first writer to be imprisoned in England for homosexuality, and he's a very famous writer. Do you know that? If not, focus on queer reference, post-colonial reference, racial reference, feminist reference. If you are reading Vanity Fair as a simple story, but you do not know the connection that Vanity Fair has two characters, Angelic and Monster, and this is a study by Susan Gubar and Sandra Gilbert, Mad Woman in Attic. And again, you don't know that, and people have not taught you that Mad Woman in Attic is a reference taken from Bertha Mason, Jane Eyre's famous character written by Charlotte Bronte. So my dear friends, if you do not have the critical approach, you're going to miss it. So if you have bought the books, British history, पढ़ते टाइम याद रखना टॉपर्स की तरह पढ़ना है. If you are a fresh student, remember that there are some people who are not qualified after 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attempts, and they are also sitting to compete you. And they must have prepared like this. Many of them must be my own online students. What if they have missed this time? They are the real Bhisham Pitama. They are the giants. वो आएंगे ये सब पढ़ के, उनको सब क्लास में करवाया हुआ है मैंने. All these things have been prepared in class. Post-colonial analysis of John Donne's famous work, Elegy on His Mistress Going to Bed. लड़का लड़की के साथ है, हीरो हीरोइन के साथ, और हीरोइन को कह रहा है, ओ माय अमेरिका, माय न्यू फाउंड लैंड, सेफली एज हेवन विद वन मैन मैट. तुम मेरी, जो तुम्हारी बॉडी है वो मेरे लिए अमेरिका है और मैं इसे एक्सप्लोर करूंगा, मैं एक्सप्लोरर हूं. This is post-colonial study. Did you do that? अगर नहीं करा है तो शुरू कर दो. Then my dear friends, acts. These acts are very important. What is Conventicle Act? What is Corporation Act? What is Licensing Act? Common Prayer Book Act, Act of Uniformity. These kind of things are very important. There was a question in an exam that what is Exclusion Bill Act 1679? ये आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. Then amendments. Repeated question of NET exam. Lady Chatterley Lover published in 1928. What immediately banned? It was republished in some 1968. Why? The abolishment of Lord Chamberlain's office. When Licensing Act was implemented, the writer who fought against it and then got it lifted, he is the one. Who is that? Henry Fielding. Milton protested Licensing Act by writing Areopagitica in 1644. So first of all, acts, amendments, union of the crown, the Queen Victoria became the Empress of India in 1876. These kind of things are very, very important. And then comes the Parliament. Because when you study British history, what are we studying? We are talking about the British history, British literature. Parliament. What if they ask you the timing of Civil War? If they say that England was without parliament, what are the durations? 1642 to 1649, for 7 years, there was no parliament. Then 49 to 1660, there was a parliament. Then 1660 to 1679, there was a parliament. But then who abolished the parliament? So there are questions from this thing. You must know that. You must be tired. थक गए होगे. I am also tired. बोल के. आपने एक चीज सुनी है, कट मत करना, नहीं कट मत करना. इट्स अ लाइव काइंड ऑफ रिकॉर्डिंग, हम कोई एडिटिंग नहीं करेंगे. हाँ, एक फ्री कोर्स है हमारा. मैं भी एक पानी का ब्रेक ले लेता हूँ. एक फ्री कोर्स है फॉर द स्टूडेंट्स जो अप्रैल में है, अप्रैल में ज्वाइन करेंगे. अप्रैल टू जून उनको फीस जरूर देनी है, बट इट्स 2 months and there are chances that they can miss exam. You know, it happens sometimes. Student, we have given results in 1 month, we can give results in 2 months, but I understand. I can teach in 2 months, but the student cannot cover in 2 months. All the fresh students, जिनका अभी MA हुआ है, those who are doing their MA now, those who have then attempted their fourth semester exam. So it's for you all. It's a gift for all of you. Join now. अप्रैल से जून join करो. Join from April to June. Get July to December free. So forget everything. Just be the part. These things will be on your tips because it is not finished yet. Let me just. And one more thing. When you want to join online classes, just think, who is guiding me? The man who qualifies again and again. How I qualify? I sit in exams. These things are all here. So if I can do it, I can make you do it. Especially the freshers. First attempt अपने घर में नेट करना है ना. Look at the teacher. मैं confidence के साथ, ईमानदारी के साथ I'm telling you, be the part. Join it. ये रख के आता हूँ. चलते हैं next पे. So another slide is here. My dear friends, I must tell you, this is not that easy. If your parents say, no, without coaching you can qualify, it's not that easy. Normally in India, state universities, normal colleges, private colleges, they're not teaching like this. Now see, look at this. Publishing houses. Why do you have to go for publishing houses? Why? The question in exam, the publisher of Edmund Spencer, William Ponsonby. The question in exam, who gave money to Samuel Johnson to write dictionary? His publisher. Then the first publisher in England who brought printing press. You know that printing press came to England in 1476. Then there were publishers who used to publish books without permissions. So technically, publishing houses, publishers, you must know that. Then famous publication houses. Did your teacher in your coaching class taught you about this? What is Stationers Register? What is Times Literary Supplement? If not, you must know that. Then newspapers. Do you know the first newspaper, the Daily Current, 1702? Then the Watchman, the Postman, the Evening Chronicle, Morning Chronicle. Even the famous romantic writer Coleridge had a newspaper called Watchman, and Henry Fielding had a famous newspaper called Champion. Make sure you read the newspapers, periodicals. Again, this time there was a question. So many questions are there from these things. Tatler, Spectator, Rambler, Idler. Then Along with these things, multiple other magazines, Blackwood Magazine, Edinburgh Review, London Magazine. There are questions in exam, and in this second shift, I must tell you this time, F.R. Lewis Magazine scrutiny was also there. There are questions. Which magazine is called responsible for the early death of John Keats? Blackwood. Which editor is called the father of modern reviewers? Francis Jeffrey. Who is the man who started reviewing the first time? Daniel Defoe, the father of reviews. Technically, there are questions. Tatler, 1709. Spectator, 1711. How many members are there in Spectator Club? There are questions like this. So you have to focus on reviews and censorship. The books which are censored. Do you know that George Orwell's 1984 was banned? Do you also know the idea of censorship will actually start with Shakespeare? When Baudelaire came with the idea of Baudelaireism, which is called censorship. It has a history. There may books which are banned, which are censored. The famous example, Salman Rushdie, Satanic Verses, is not allowed in India. Then licensing, we have talked about this. Opportunity. They may also ask you that what are the books which were banned for obscenity, like Lady Chatterjee Lover. In modern age, in restoration, obscenity came. How Shakespeare has dealt with obscenity. The Beast with double back reference, question of net exam. Then the bed tricks, again a question of net exam. And how Shakespeare's some kind of obscene scene were censored by Thomas Baudelaire, which is a question of exam. So these kind of things you must read. Philip Roth Portnoy's complaint banned hai. Then trials. Who are the writers who faced litigation charges? Do you know that? Ben Jonson ran away. His mother tried to kill him. Why? Because his mother said, go and face the allegations. It is said that even Marlowe feigned his death, pretended his death, because there was a trial for him. Oscar Wilde had to face a trial for homosexuality. There were many authors, many people who were either imprisoned or they were killed for the punishments. Especially William Tyndale for translating New Testament. Daniel Defoe tied to the pillory. The command was that throw the stone at him. Then the Titus Oates, one of the worst punishment given to him. So make sure you remember that. In fact, the punishments are also asked in exam. What was the famous punishment of Augustine to break the bones? The wheel punishment. There is a proper line. Who breaks a butterfly upon a wheel? What do you mean by the wheel? Then the famous punishment or infamous punishment, skimmity ride for adulterous woman. You must be knowing that Mayor of Casterbridge, Lucetta is given the skimmity ride. There was a proper question that in this particular work, who is given the punishment called skimmity ride? You must know that. What is that? You should find it out. Then World War II reference. There is a proper genre of literature with World War I, World War II. There are like 20 plus authors. You must read them. The writers from World War I, writers from World War II. Stephen Crane, Red Badge of Courage, one of the finest work. In fact, the war poetry. Make sure you remember the war poets, war poetry. Important. Various movements. Lollards, very early. Do you know the Tractarian movement, Oxford movement? Philip Larkin's famous work, Church Going. So make sure you focus on these things. Political scenarios and political novels. Political novels, 99% have not even heard about it. Political novels are also called Pulitzer novels. Primarily, Anthony Trollope wrote Mr. Prime Minister. These kind of works were dealing with the day-to-day politics. Benjamin Disraeli came with the novels dealing with the latest fashion. Do you know that? You have to read it. It looks easy. You know, I am good in British history. I lack in lit theory. I lack in culture studies. If somebody says that I'm good in British history and I lack in all those things, that person sometimes doesn't know what exactly you should read. Names, pen name. You know what was the real name of George Eliot? Mary Ann Evans. What was the real name of George Orwell? Eric Arthur Blair. What's the real name of O. Henry? William Sidney Porter. Alpha of the Plough was the pen name of A.G. Gardner. There are plus 50 names, 50 plus names. They can ask you any question. Munro Saki नाम से लिख रहा है, तो ऐसे बहुत सारे questions हैं. Make sure you No need to tell you all the literary Nobel awardees. T.S. Eliot 1948, Rabindranath Tagore 1913, W. Yeats 1923, G.B. Shaw 1925, Ivan Bunin 1933. Then Albert Camus 1957, Samuel Beckett 1969. These kind of writers, Bolsoinka 1986, 1992, Derek Walcott. Do you know that you have to have these things on tips? Booker Award, Something to Answer For, P.H. Newby, 1969. There are writers who have won Booker Awards for many times. Indian Booker Awards, Arundhati Roy, 1997, God of Small Things. Kiran Desai, Inheritance of Loss, 2006 Booker Award. Amitav Ghosh, 2008 Booker Award. And this time you must know The Tom of Sand, Gitanjali Shri, that is in Hindi, but in literature, we have to go for that. So on tips, Booker, Pulitzer, Nobel, is Arthur C. Clarke Award, Prometheus Award, Nebula Award, and then Gyanpith Award, Commonwealth Writers Prize. Do you know Amit Chaudhary has won that? Commonwealth Writers Prize is very important. Jhumpa Lahiri has won that. So make sure you remember these things. Other, what if they ask you that which is inspired by German Renaissance? What if they ask you that name the writers who are heavily influenced by Italian Renaissance? So you simply have to find out those connections. And then last lines. What is the opening line? What is the last line? It was the best time. It was the worst time. You remember that? What I need is fact, fact, fact. Vanitas, vanitatum. The last line of Vanity Fair. All of these things are asked in exams. A lot of first lines, a lot of last lines. But how to choose? There I can help you with my experience, what to read, what not. So, my friends, what does it look like? Finished? Let's English net hai, net English. Though the field be lost, all is not lost. Fail I alone in the words and deeds, all men strive but who succeed? I am the monarch of all things I survey, my claim here is none to dispute. There is a pleasure in poetic pains which only poets know. Do you know these lines from where I have quoted? And I can quote a lot. I was ever a fighter, so one fight more, the best and the last. My moon, my everybody's moon, everyone looks at her and calls his. The only need of the time is to be the best. If you know these quotes, approx 200 plus quotations are required. A lot of quotes from Shakespeare. There is a special providence in a fall of a sparrow, que sera sera. There are lines, look more if thou hast eyes to see, she has deceived her father, may thee. Brevity is wet. Horatio, I'm dead. There are lines like this. Age cannot wither her, nor custom stale. You have to go for all the quotations, lines, statements. Statements, one writer talking about another writer. Mrs. Kamala Das' problem is that she does not know when to stop. Eunice D'Souza. Someone called Joseph Conrad bloody racist in 1975, a question of net exam, Chinua HB. So writers passing comments, passing statements for others of exam. Pamphlet war. What was the issue of Shadwell and Dryden? If you don't know that, you will be failed in exam. What was the issue of Theobald and Pope? What was the rivalry between Eliot and F.R. Lewis? These kind of things you must know. Comes the history of what was the first type of poetry, what was the style, what is octosyllabic couplet, what is decasyllabic couplet, what was the first rhyming scheme, then how it all started, what is free verse, what is nonsense verse. ये सब आता है पेपर में. Then drama, of drama, the first dramatist, the first novelist, why it is said that Chaucer is the grandfather of novelists. See, then stories, how they all stories के लिए तो और भी questions आते हैं. They are divided in multiple parts, fables, annals. So these kind of stories are there. There are multiple parts. Do you know even in novel there are short novel, novella, novels, novelette, and flash fiction. Then essay, father of essay, Montaigne. Then first writer of essay, Francis Bacon. Then the informal author, Charles Lamb. And there are questions in exam from De Quincey. And then A.Z. Gardner is there. Then Helen Keller is there. There are so many other writers. Aldous Huxley was essays. These writers are there. Non-fiction, a genre 99.99% people don't know. Nobody is teaching these things even in universities. I also had to work on this particular topic separately. So I cannot tell exactly from where to start, but yes, Areopagitica is one of the first non-fictions. There are certain other pamphlets. Jeremy Collier's Obscenity pamphlet is one of the first non-fiction. So you have to read that. And then comes autobiography and confessional writings. There are so many autobiographies. What is the difference between autobiography and confessional writing? What if they ask you this question in assertion and reason? अगर assertion reason में सिर्फ एक question आ जाए कि what is the difference between autobiography and confessional writings? Kamala Das is a confessional writer, but her famous work, My Story, is called an autobiography. So you have to read that. The list of confessional writers are there. The famous autobiographies. There should be a proper collection. You should know that. And then comparative analysis of anything. What is the difference between ode and lyric? Horatian satire, Menippean satire, Juvenal satire. What is the difference? Comparison between authors. Whose romanticism is more close to the true romanticism? Wordsworth or Keats? So if you have prepared like that, you are close to your success. Now, you will be having this thing. That's the other literatures. So as the video is going really long and I want you to subscribe, take the reference, take the screenshot for Indian literature, Srinivas Iyengar, M.K. Nayak, G.N. Devi for literary criticism. People make a mistake. They don't read Indian literary criticism and then they say, "Mera net nahi ho raha hai." I know your teachers also don't teach. Even if you're in top big private companies, they don't teach this thing. They must not be even knowing the names of these people. So, Dhananjay Kapasi for modern Indian English writings. But is it done? Indian literature? No. Indian aesthetics, Indian modern theatres, Indian post-colonialists, Indian diaspora authors, the partition authors, then Indian feminist authors and queerness. So again, you have to read. Then Dalit literature. But they take the screenshot of the books. I'll come with a separate video on these things. Then American literature, my favorite one. This is amazing. You can go for Reborn Pos Halik. You can go for Indian version of Nandana Datta and Raghukul Tilak. They are also good. And Sri Chakradhar, he's also my favorite. Because Sri Chakradhar is very much comparative for American literature. Now, before I end up, first I want to sip water. Thoda pani pee lu. Now, my dear friends, whatever I have talked till now, like British history and with these books, Americans and you can say the Indian literature, that's it 60% basic syllabus. Now this is base, it's basic. Primarily lit theory, cultural studies, linguistics, language and English in India with research pedagogy and all. This is the 40% syllabus. People have no idea what to read. I'm speaking on fact. If you're taking coaching classes, ask your teacher why you are not a JRF. If your teacher is teaching all these things with confidence, then JRF is not a big thing because you teach. A student has to learn. So you are here, you are teaching, so you already have learned it, must be ready to teach others, so must have learned it. So your student is here, your teacher is here. So they will come with excuse. No, I don't want JRF. I am rich enough. I started earning at the age of 18. In short, they are attempting exams, but they are not qualifying it. Oh, I don't mind. This their personal life. But they will say that I'm the best for you. So your 6 months, your money, your efforts, and moreover, if you want to qualify in first attempt, choose wisely. We have the solution. 60% this, 40% this syllabus. We clearly have for you. We are providing free classes to our students who are joining us in April. Last date 25th. If you join us now, yes, April to June there is a fees. If you join us now, the fees is online 8,500. You can simply do Google Pay, Phone Pay on this particular number. I'm just writing it in front of you. No editing, simple thing. GPay, phone pay. In case you have any problem, you can call this number. You will purchase a lot of books. That books will be costing you around 7,000, 8,000. Only British and Indian. If you go for culture studies books, lit theories books, they also know that culture studies books are not available, so the prices are high. And if you think you have taken some basic Indian book, it will not help. So, why to join me? First of all, if you join now, April to June, I will teach you each and everything. मैं सब पढ़ाऊंगा, मेरी जिम्मेदारी है. And I'm not speaking on, blabbing and things. खुद 9वीं बार नेट निकाला है, खुद 8वां नेट -20 में लद्दाख में निकाला था. फिर बीच में कोविड गैप आ गया. गैप के बाद भी आई नो आई कैन क्वालिफाई. सो आई नो व्हाट कम्स इन एग्जाम. फ्रॉम वेयर शुड यू रीड. कहते हैं ना दाई, जो गांव में जो दाई होती है, तो हमारी कहावत थी दाई से पेट नहीं छुपाते. दाई को सब पता होता है. तो नेट की दाई हूं फिलहाल, इंग्लिश की, और प्रैक्टिस कर रहा हूं, और शार्प होना है. जून में और अच्छा होना है. April to June, this is the fees. This is how you have to join. In case you miss it, you are a fresher. You are recently done your post graduation. You come from a small town. Suppose you're not that good in English language. So if you just missed it, will you pay the fees again? There are people they will charge again. We also never came with this kind of offer earlier. हम भी नहीं इतना सोचते थे. But this time I've thought it. Because what if you miss it with some percentile, something? Who will be there? You will say, sir, at least Vineet sir is with us. So if you join this batch, the fresh batch, July to December, it will be totally free for you. And one more thing. April to June, but there is no confirmation that exam will be in the June only. Exam can also go till 15th July. Exam जो है वो जून से जुलाई भी जा सकता है. So you will be happy that at least April to July, I'm giving my best under the best guide who has taught in University of Delhi, has his own double JRF with 9 net. And then by chance, in case you miss it, July to December is free of cost. So we can proudly say that in any situation, 2023, may it be June, July, may it be December, I will crack this exam. Now, if you have other options, you can consider them. If they have taught in University of Delhi, if they have their own JRF, and that is repeated. Because you know what happens? When you will qualify NET, somebody will say, "Arey, by chance hua hai, tukke se hua hai." So success once, people say luck. Success repeated, people say hunar, perfection, sharpness. So I give you a guarantee. I will teach you each and everything, whatever I have mentioned here in detail. You just have to do your duty. Be the part of this, and please subscribe this, because I'm also going to talk about the culture studies and other things. And yes, you will also get video classes. If you join the batch, you'll be getting this kind of video. I'm going to explain like this. I'm going to teach you like this. But please remember, the last date is 25th April. 25 April last day. Any offer has a last date. 25th April. Earlier it was 20th. But then we got 1,000 plus calls in 2 days. So we have extended it. 25th April, last date. Thank you so much for watching the video, sparing your time with me. I hope I did justice with my content. Thank you.
नेट का ही था, ये तो हो जाएगा कि हो जाएगा. इसमें तो हमारा कोई डाउट ही नहीं.
सारे नोन थे.
क्वेश्चन नोन. ऐसा लग रहा था पूरा क्लास का जो हमारा रैपिड फायर है ना, वो उठा के उन्होंने ऐसा उठाया है और हमारे मैं बेस कर दिया है.
ये मैंने बोली थी कि ऐसा लग रहा है पूरा रैपिड फायर उठा के उन्होंने पेपर में डाला है.
पूरा रैपिड फायर जो हमारे क्लासेस में हमको कराया गया.
कौन सी थी?
हमारा शिफ्ट सेकंड था.
आपकी सेकंड शिफ्ट में भी क्वेश्चंस बाहर से नहीं आए?
नहीं, बिल्कुल.
आपके शिफ्ट 1 में भी क्वेश्चन बाहर से नहीं आए?
एक भी क्वेश्चन नहीं था
कि ऑफलाइन बैच में बैठे और कुछ वेस्ट हो गया. अब तो ऑनलाइन में थे ना, ऐसा तो नहीं लगा कि क्वेश्चंस पता नहीं किस दुनिया से आए हुए, पता ही नहीं हमें.
सर वो पूरा ट्रूली पैसा वसूल था. जब हमने एग्जाम देखा ना,
टीचर की कमी तो नहीं है.
नहीं सर, मैं बता रही हूँ ना, मैं बोल रही हूँ ना, ट्रूली पैसा वसूल था. जो एग्जाम देखा ना, अरे अब तो पूरा बन जाना है. जब मैंने फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन किया, सेकंड क्वेश्चन किया,
याद आ रही होगी
थर्ड
पेपर में, कह रहे यार.
हाँ सर ने ये पूछा था. हाँ इस क्लास में ये पूछा था. सर जब हमने क्वेश्चन कर लिए, मैं ट्रूली हो गई. मेरा बीच में कंप्यूटर ऑफ हुआ. मैंने कहा कोई नहीं, मैंने सर से बोला, सर ने ऑन करवाया, हो गया ऑन. मैंने सोचा पीछे का ऑफ तो नहीं हो गया, पीछे सारे क्वेश्चन टिक थे. मैंने कहा चलो पीछे का कोई मिस आउट नहीं हुआ है. हमने कर भी दिया, बट पता नहीं मेमोरी लेवल उस टाइम क्या था, हो
Chronology
सकता है
under
ज्यादा
pressure, हाँ।
क्रोनोलॉजी में हो सकता, बहुत ज्यादा मिस आउट हो गया हो वहां से।
अंडर
और
प्रेशर
वैसे
ना ऐसा होता है, अंडर प्रेशर। एक क्वेश्चन आपके लिए भी है, क्या ऑनलाइन क्लासेस इनफ है?
सर बिल्कुल इनफ है। मतलब मेरे को ना पेपर में बैठ के मेरे को टाइमिंग तक याद आ रहा था, बस मेरे को क्रोनोलॉजी याद नहीं है। मेरे को ये पता था ये 25 मिनट की ऑडियो थी, ये 17 मिनट की थी, ये
अभी
भी
अभी जब ये
सच
सेशन शुरू होने
में
वाला था
ऐसा
तो
था।
मैंने आपको एक फेसबुक मैसेज दिखाया था, हीना रहमान जो जेआरएफ स्टूडेंट है हमारी, उनका जामिया में सिलेक्शन का, वो भी ऑनलाइन से थी। वो उन्होंने भी यही बात बोली थी कि जो आपने पढ़ाया ना वो मैंने छोड़ा नहीं कुछ।
हाँ
और आपने तो उनके इंटरव्यू लाइव देखे ना, वो किस तरह से बहुत रिलैक्स कूल तरीके से बोल रही थी कि जेआरएफ मेरा हंसते हंसते हो गया। तो आपको इनके आंसर्स मिल रहे हैं, दे आर द क्लास स्टूडेंट्स।
मतलब मेरे साथ ये था कि मैं हमेशा ना आपकी ऑडियो सुनती रहती थी, हेडफोन लगा के। मैं कुछ भी घर पे भी काम कर रही हूँ तो मैं सुन रही हूँ।
दैट्स क्वाइट
हाँ
विजिबल नाउ।
तो हाँ, तो उसी के हिसाब
अभी
से
मैं टफ
होता है
क्वेश्चन
ना।
पूछता हूँ, मैं आप दोनों को पहले देखता हूँ।
तो सर उसी चीज में ना मेरे को इवन सच में कई बार जैसे सीधा व्हाट्सएप से चलाते हैं ना
हाँ।
ऑडियो, तो उस टाइम पे मेरे को टाइमिंग भी याद थी। आप ये सोचो उतना याद था, बस वो क्रोनोलॉजी में ऊपर नीचे हो रहा था,
जस्ट
वरना
बैड लक,
इतना
जस्ट
था।
बैड लक।
यस सर।
पेपर कैसा था इस बार?
सर एग्ज़ाम तो काफ़ी अच्छा था, काफ़ी सही था। मतलब जो आपने करवाया है वो काफ़ी वही था। ब्रिटिश हिस्ट्री थी तो उसमें सेम यही था।
कर सकते हो
तो
उसको।
जब आप लोग शुरू में पहली बार पहले दिन क्लास में बैठे थे और मैंने एक बात कही थी कि जो पढ़ाऊंगा पेपर में मिल जाएगा, मिला वो पेपर में?
यस सर, पेपर में मिला, पेपर उसी से बनाया गया, मिला नहीं, पेपर उसी से बनाया गया, सेम ये था उधर।
तो फिर मैं नेक्स्ट टाइम सोचूंगा कि क्रोनोलॉजी ज्यादा ना रहे।
नहीं सर, क्रोनोलॉजी पे हम वर्क करेंगे, आप जो पढ़ा रहे हैं हमको वो डेप्थ चाहिए।
अब हमें और क्रोनोलॉजी पे काम करना है।
हाँ, क्रोनोलॉजी वर्क करनी है हमको।
वो पेपर में कुछ भी बनाए, हम एक दो लाइन बोल सकते हैं कि ये गलत पेपर है, लेकिन अल्टीमेटली अगर हमें जीतना है ना तो हमें उस लेवल पे जाना तो पड़ेगा। एक कल आप लोग क्लास में थे, एक हमारी स्टूडेंट है ऑनलाइन में, 2020 में ज्वाइन किया था ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, फिर अभी क्वालिफाई नहीं हुआ। जॉब है, जॉइंट फैमिली, 2 बच्चे हैं, मैं क्या करूं? कल कौन आया था आपकी क्लास में?
मैम आई थी,
मदिहा।
मदिरा मैम आई थी। हाँ,
मदिहा
उनके
के
2
दो
किड्स
बच्चे?
है। हाँ हाँ, 2 किड्स है उनके।
मदिहा का 12 साल के बाद पढ़ाई शुरू हुई है, 12 साल का गैप था।
हाँ।
मदिहा की तो एजुकेशन भी नहीं है
नहीं है
इंडिया की,
यस, वो दुबई से पढ़ी हुई है।
दुबई से पढ़ी हुई है।
हाँ हाँ
और इमेजिन करो, और वो भी ऑनलाइन बैच।
Yes.
एंड शी आल्सो सेड दैट आई वाज अबाउट टू गिव अप। सर ने बोला कि कोई बात नहीं, मैं हूं साथ में, कोशिश कर लो, देखा जाएगा।
उन्होंने एक बात बोली थी, उनकी बहुत अच्छी लगी थी, जो रक्षिता ने बोली है कि जो पाप पाल लिया है, अब उस पाप को पहले नहा ही लो उस पाप में, फिर बाद में देखेंगे जो होना होगा।
आपने एक बात कही थी कल कि कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं था जो क्लास से बाहर
हाँ
है।
बिल्कुल नहीं था, नथिंग आउटसाइड द टेक्स्ट। जो हमारी
ये
कॉपी
इसलिए नहीं बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि हम कैमरे पे,
नहीं बिल्कुल नहीं, मैं खुद
विदाउट
भी
कैमरा भी बात कर रहे थे।
यस सर।
और मैंने आपको, आप लोगों को क्लास में कहा था कि, क्लास में भी बात हुई थी, मैंने आपको कहा था कि वो क्वेश्चन ढूंढो इस पेपर में जो आपको ना आते हो। तो आप लोगों ने रिपीटेडली एक बात कही थी कि देयर वाज नथिंग,
हाँ
क्लास से
नहीं
बाहर
लगा
से आए
सर।
हो, ऑफलाइन
एक
बैच।
क्वेश्चन लगा था, वो मैंने आपको
वो
क्लास
शायद
में
एक
भी बोल
question
दिया
बाहर
था।
से।
हाँ, अब मेमोरी वाला ट्रिक कर गया कि याद ही नहीं आया, तो वो तो मेरी
तो
गलती
ये
है।
हमेशा मैं एक बात बोलता हूँ ना कि अगर पेपर पढ़ाया हुआ आ भी जाए क्लास का, सिलेबस बहुत बड़ा है, हमें कवर करना है, क्योंकि इस बार क्रोनोलॉजी बहुत ज्यादा आ गई।
यस सर।
अच्छा, जैसे इन्होंने डेप्थ में तो बहुत पढ़ा, पर क्रोनोलॉजी में शायद वो